Hey, this is Lisa.
And this is Lana.
We are two old friends.
A nurse.
And an actor who are both
taking care of our parents.
This is a podcast about what to expect when you're not expecting it. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be discussing the family dynamic when it comes to caring for elderly parents. You know, the siblings who are living there versus the siblings that are zooming in and how that feels. Looking at it from both sides now. Everybody's got an opinion. Let's get started. You know, your sibling is at home and taking care of your parents, and you are flying in. And let's just talk over some of what that can look like and can feel like. One of the big ones is you walk in and your parents seem like way worse than the last time you saw them, and immediately it's overwhelming.
Right.
What's wrong? Why haven't you been taken care of?
Right. And I think there's a couple of dynamics with that. When you're close by your parents, you're seeing this gradually. You're warming up to the idea of what things are happening, what things need to be done. You're getting this gradually, maybe day by day, maybe week by week. And then you have a sibling that comes in that has not really interacted with them for maybe months.
They haven't acclimated to the idea.
Yeah. And it's almost like they're coming in cold, where
Right.
you have been warming up to like, oh, okay, this is the new norm.
Right.
I'm accepting that this is where my parents are at. These are the things we've done that hasn't worked. And you've tried different things. But then
Right.
this person coming in.
Because it's hard not to, when you're feeling shocked, to attack.
Right.
Like, what the heck? And I think if you are coming in for the holiday, stay really aware of how it might come across to that person who is doing everything. If you do want to say something to your sibling about what you're noticing and you're coming from the outside, tread lightly. You can oversimplify it or think that there's easy answers. So keeping that communication open and realizing that this person might be in overwhelm. They might be feeling resentful. They might already know. So tread lightly, but stay curious and ask from their expertise as opposed to you are noticing something that they're not noticing.
Right. Is that normal? You know, that this is happening? Oh, yeah, that's normal. Or, yeah, that would be a good way to.
And if they seem to like they're getting defensive, yep, they might be feeling defensive. And if they expect that, so change accordingly. Because if you were in their shoes, read the room, read the dang room.
Yeah.
Because if they're in an overwhelmed state, the last thing you want to hear is, you know what you should do? And you're like, shut up. It's hard to know where you can step in, how you can step in without offending somebody. Because that is a stage. That was a huge stage of caregiving for my sister and I. When did we step in with my mom?
Yeah.
And when did we not? I found myself. I had a lot of advice for my mom, too much advice for my mom.
To take care of your dad.
To take care of my dad.
And part of that is I've always been close to my parents. So you're had that experience of coming in and not seeing them for months. I have not had that.
Right.
But I can imagine that you feel a little guilty, so part of that is like, okay, now I'm really ready to help. So now here I'm here for 2 weeks or 1 week, and so we're going to.
I think there's nothing worse than the only help I could give was, verbal. And I think because that's usually what you're doing from afar. What can and can't you do as you try to be helpful? So the flip side is you have been, hearing some things on the phone and you flew in for the holidays and your parents seem great. And you're like,
what's all this that you're talking about? Yeah.
They seem fine. You must be exaggerating because look at them. They're awesome.
Right.
So in that situation, Your parents rise to the occasion.
Yeah, they do. And they're very good at that. I've seen that at the doctor's office. I see that with their friends. And then with siblings that are coming in.
Yeah.
And you look at them and you think, well, who is this person? I mean, my God. It's incredible how they can pretend.
They'll be like chatty, sitting up, being all on it and joking. And you're like, I don't know who you are talking to right now, but he is nothing like who I take care of.
Yeah, right. They show up with their best. And that's great. And I'm so glad that they can do that. It can only last 2 to 3 hours, but that is not the real life. Or maybe they could do it a day, but then the next day they're exhausted. And back to the Krabbies or whatever. Yeah, right back to their baseline. And we can all rise to the occasion for a while.
Yep.
But it's not sustainable.
Exactly.
But it is just amazing how they can rise to the occasion. So you're coming in and you're thinking, well, what's wrong?
And if the problem is, and I think this is, if we're saying to the people coming in, be listening to what they're saying. Be curious, not judgmental, because what you're seeing might not be accurate.
This is a simple example. So one of my friends was taking care of her parents and someone came in, a relative came in, and they said, I have headaches all the time. Will you please buy me some ibuprofen? And that relative was like, really? You can't even buy them ibuprofen? Really? They did have ibuprofen. They just couldn't remember where it was. There was a bottle of 500 milligrams. So you have to be careful when they say things like,
They're
daughter's
not taking care of me.
Right. Or no one ever visits me. And well, they don't remember that you were just there yesterday. So it can get a little slippery slope there too. So you have to be careful. I mean, you do want to believe your parents, but if they're living with dementia,
or even some cognitive decline.
Right.
Doesn't have to be full-on dementia quite yet.
Right,
It could just be some cognitive decline. And there might be some paranoia. There might be anxiety. There might be, forgetfulness. And so I think we're not saying don't believe your parents when they tell you these things. But if you are not there, like your sibling is, you have to be very, very careful that it's not coming from one of those places: paranoia, forgetfulness, anxiety. And so what you need to do is keep your communication with your sibling open, which can be very tricky because, as we know, family dynamics are not easy. And during the holidays, everything gets exacerbated and even worse because the tensions are high. As our elderly parents, it gets even worse because we're all afraid of death, and we're watching the people we love walk toward the door. So it's a lot. It is a lot to deal with. But when you are entering somebody else's world, try to have some, what's the word I'm trying to find? I want to say believe them. I want to say, give them the benefit of the doubt that they are dealing with more than you. And if they say it, then it's probably true. Now, yes, there may be some people out there who are manipulative and trying to whatever, but I'll tell you, the majority of us are just trying our hardest and using up a lot of our own resources, physically, mentally, financially.
And I think there's I was talking to a friend too, where she was at home and she was saying to her sibling, I need help with this, and I need to spend some of their money to help with a shower, or what. I need someone to help come in and clean their house because I can't do that anymore. And so the other sibling came in and said, well, they're doing fine. They don't need that. So why are we spending their money on that?
That is a whole, I think we'd probably have to bring in some experts on, because I have heard horror stories, and I know of a couple of people. We'll call that money. Money, money, money. as the person coming in, be respectful of the routines.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things like medicines and they, we know that if you give this food, then that's going to cause, gas or a problem. So we try to avoid it. And you come in, you're like, what's the big deal?
Just let them have. They want to have. Yeah. And
exactly.
So you do need to respect of who's there, what that is going to cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be respectful of their routines. And if they say Dad needs to eat at this time because we know he starts getting grumpy or Mom starts getting lightheaded, don't take him out and take him on a walk at that time. And if you find yourself going, it'll be fine too many times, you are probably really aggravating the person who knows the repercussions for routine disruptions. And routines are very important for the elderly.
Right. It is.
I think there also is, you do all the work. I'm living with my parents, doing things 24/7. And then the heroes come in from afar,
Yes, and we're so excited.
Everyone's so excited to see them because they're fresh and
Yes.
Like a daisy.
Yes.
You're like a haggard old lady who's taking care of them. And so I know, I will even say it, my sister-in-law was really good about getting my dad things. Like, and she got this little cute vacuum thing that would take off the crumbs off his chest and stuff like that. And he wrote this little note about how amazing she was. And I was like, really? I was
Yes.
like, really? And I'm not saying it wasn't lovely what she got, but there was definitely a part of me that was like, so I'm here all the time.
24/7.
I'm cleaning urine and I'm doing everything. I'm tucking pillows and finding the perfect and oh my gosh, the workarounds to try to make everything work. And really? So yeah, that can be that. And I don't think that's uncommon. And I like some fresh perspective.
Yes.
There's nothing like having
It
a
is
new
exciting.
person come in. It's
Yes.
exciting, So it's like, I get it, but there was a little part of me that, it was a little hurt, appalled, that was like the hero walked in and you're like, okay, well, I get it. But so when you are the hero, be cognizant that you might be having the resentful Cinderella standing in the corner going, I'll get her. No. But yeah, just be aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think the word tread lightly is going to be used for that one too.
Yeah.
You're the caregiver at home and somebody is walking into your domain. Somebody comes in and they come up with a myriad of ideas that you should be doing and you're like, yeah, no, we tried that. Or they aren't willing to accept the status quo and so they feel that you're not doing enough. And it can be really hard to take as the caregiver because it feels like, yeah, I'm here all the time and you're going to come in and tell me what is what.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, sometimes they're seeing something that you didn't see because you've acclimated too much and you didn't even notice it was happening. Right. Sometimes it can be like the person's like, holy cow, why didn't you tell me? And you're like, I this is what it's been like. And they're like, nuh-uh.
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever had that where you look at a picture from like a year ago?
Yes.
And it's astounding to see the difference. And I didn't notice it happening.
Right.
Right? It's
Right.
like it all of a sudden it didn't feel so bad until someone pointed it out or showed a picture or said, well, last year Mom was up and, remember she walked a half mile to the, and oh crap, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that incremental thing can be really hard. But I think one of the big things is realizing that they are giving you the benefit of the doubt. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt too. They're coming into this environment and maybe seeing something they hadn't seen before. They're dealing with their own mortality.
Right.
And they may come across judgy.
Right.
They may come across as aggressive.
Or they may be feeling guilty.
Good point.
So there's a lot of emotion.
There's a lot of emotion. Maybe the roles were reversed. What if they were the favorite child and then suddenly you're the one taking care of them and now they don't know where they fit in. They don't, maybe they were the older sibling and they now don't know what to do with the younger sibling or vice versa. The younger sibling doesn't know how to stop being seen as the young sibling because, as we know, we have old roles that can stay with us. So some of them might change and that feels weird. Some of them might stay the same and that feels weird. You have routines, you have ways things are done, and suddenly here's the holidays. People come in. It's hard to try to keep that routine alive, and sometimes you got to let it go. Yep. Dad's going to have some serious gas after that frickin' whatever someone just gave him. He did not need that beer.
Right. Right.
But we'll figure it out. So it won't be perfect.
Yeah.
I think what's weird is you've been the person who's doing it all every day, every moment. And suddenly there's other people there.
Yeah.
And someone comes in and you're like, oh, I got it. And you're like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
You think you're just going to be like so easy, like, oh, thank God somebody else has it. But you and I have talked about this. No one does it as good as us.
We do it the best.
So when somebody else offers to help, you need to let them help.
Yeah. And it may not be exactly how you did it. It may not be perfect.
Yep.
But you need to just let that go.
Yep.
And that's hard.
It actually is hard. And you want to instruct and just, wait, no, do it this way. And just let it be. It's not, no one's going to hurt anybody. And it won't, you're right, it won't be perfect. The other thing is if you feel resentful because you're doing all of this.
One of the things where, someone comes in and they've been on trips and done this and done that. And you think, well, poor me, I can't do that. Yeah. Well, actually you can. So when you're a caregiver, you have to continue to live your life and to make some choices.
I mean, it is hard not to be resentful when somebody walks in and they've been on a cruise.
Absolutely.
And you're like, no, I'm glad you had a great time. That's awesome. Good for you.
But you can go on a cruise too.
Yeah.
It's just you have to ask for help.
Yeah.
And you can think of creative ways to do that. But it's tough.
It is tough.
It's not going to be easy.
We do have an episode that talks about asking for help. And it really delves into why that is so difficult for some of us. But I think it is something to always be aware of. Resentment comes from when you feel like you have no options. And truthfully, some people don't. There are times where there are moments where there are no options. But it doesn't have to be that forever. And you can live in the present, say, just for now. So I think with the family dynamics, we have pasts with our siblings, and some pasts are good and some aren't.
Right.
So holidays bubble up to the top. Elderly parents bubble up to the top. Put those two together and you got yourself
a holiday.
Oh boy. If you enjoyed our podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. Next, we talk about the roles that we take on as caregivers, the stages, and then most importantly, how do you ask for help when you really, really hate asking for help? You'll have to tune in and find out. Until next time.
Two old friends talking to old friends.